We're going to kind of stop talking about PBS specific, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking about general preventative strategies, and most of them under the umbrella of visual support strategies, because these are things that even before a functional assessment, if you're waiting for a consultant, if you're waiting for somebody to come and help you, these are things that you can put in place today. You can go home right this afternoon and start putting some of these things in place. They're not going to make your situation worse. Right? I would never say to you, oh, go implement this strategy if it had the potential of doing harm. Right? But these are things, if you put a visual strategy in place and it helps, great. And if it doesn't help, you're no worse off than you were before. Okay? So we're going to talk about some of these, and we're about 15 minutes to a break. So we'll talk about this a little bit. We'll come back. We'll finish up talking about this, and we'll have some time for questions and chit-chat and such. Okay? Good. All right, so visual support strategies. Why is it that we want to use these, and why is this such a popular topic? One of the things is that particularly for individuals on the autism spectrum, this takes advantage of their relative strength in visual processing. So one of the things that we know about people with autism spectrum disorder is that their visual skills tend to be better than their auditory skills. They understand information better that they see compared to information that they hear, okay? So let's take advantage of that strength. Compensates for challenges in just processing language. And so most of you are thinking about kids processing spoken language, but even as a teacher of the deaf, when I was working with deaf kids in a signing school, I saw the same kind of thing in deaf kids who also had autism, was that many of them had difficulty processing sign language. And the issue is that both speech and sign language go out into the air and disappear right away. It's not like when I say a word, you can grab it in the air and listen to it again. It's gone. And the same thing when I sign, right? Signs go into the air and they're gone. So if you miss it, you can't grab it and look at it again. It's over, done. Right? They're what's called transient. Whereas visuals, pictures, objects, text are non-transient. They remain in time and space as long as I need them to remain in time and space. And if I need to come back in 5 minutes and look at them, they're still there, right? So for individuals who have difficulty with information processing and with memory, visual supports are often quite helpful. Right? And again, we use visual supports all the time, right? Visual supports can really help with the predictability issue. Right, so if you have a child who has a lot of tantrums every time it's stop one activity and move to another activity, visual schedules could very well be your best friend. And I've literally worked with kids where one day no visual schedule and every transition is horrific. We put a visual schedule in place and we go to them and say, look, this is finished, now do this. They go, okay. And it's like, really? Really? Just on a piece of paper? Like it's not good, but because the piece of paper says, really? And I've seen kids where it's kind of been that quick. And I go, wow. It can help individuals understand expectations, and you saw that with Kieran in the video. I understand what I'm supposed to do. I understand what I will get if I do what I'm supposed to do. I understand what will happen if I engage in problem behavior, right? I get what's going to happen in the future. I know what the expectations are. It can help people understand task steps, right? So if we're trying to teach a specific task like getting dressed or making our lunch, how many moms would love it if their children made their own lunches for school? Yeah, some of you have older kids and would love that. We can use visuals to teach kids how to do that. We can use visuals to teach people how long, or use schedules to teach people how long an activity will last, right? And that's often a bit of a problem for lots of people, right? I'm doing something, it's not my favorite thing to do. How long am I stuck doing it? Right? How many of us are clock watchers at work? Right? Particularly on Friday afternoons. Right? You guys are all like, geez, she knows all our secrets. She knows all of the bad things that we think. Right? It's because we all think them. We're all looking at the clock. When is this over? Right? You've all been looking, okay, it's 2:05. How long does she go? You've looked at this. That's why this is here. How long do I have to sit in this room? Okay, 2:30. Okay, we get a 15-minute break and there's going to be snacks. So, let's see, it's 2:05, 10 minutes. Can I make it 10 minutes before the snacks? And then, okay, and then after that, it's just an hour. I can do an hour, I can do an hour. And there's the wine at home. The wine is at home, right? You guys are all thinking it. I know you're thinking it because so am I. Information about social routines. So we can provide information about social expectations, how to engage appropriately in social situations, and we can use visuals to organize the environment. Right? Moms who are sick of picking up after their children, right? Visuals to organize the environment so your kids can start putting things away, perhaps so that your spouses can start putting things away too. Right? Pretty soon you guys are all going to go home, you're going to slap visuals up all over your house. So we're going to talk about a few different kinds of environmental supports and look at some examples. We're going to look at environmental stuff. I'm going to talk about visual schedules quite a bit. There are lots of ways of sort of setting up and using visual schedules, and there are also some common errors that people tend to make in using visual schedules that I always like to address because it annoys me when I go into the public generally and go to work somewhere and I see inaccurate or not quite right use of visual schedules that aren't working for the kid, and then it's like, oh, well, I know why this isn't working, let's make this tweak, and then it works. So we'll talk about those today, and you can go and fix your visual schedules. We'll talk about rule supports, how to convey what rules are. We'll talk about choice boards, how we can give choices to kids and let them understand what their choices are, because again, choice doesn't mean anything that you want in the whole wide world. It's within a closed set usually. And then we'll also talk about visual supports around time and waiting, because waiting is usually problematic too. Waiting as well as when will things happen, okay? So environmental supports are pretty basic. It's that. Labeling your environment with stuff. The one on the right is a kid's dresser. So now I'm trying to teach a kid how to get dressed, and he has a schedule of the steps, right? First underwear, then shirt, then pants, then socks. And instead of laying his clothes out for him, I want him to learn how to go to the drawers and find his clothes. So I label the drawers, right? So he knows where to get stuff. And as mom, when I finish the laundry, I fold the clothes. Maybe we're not ready to have the kid fold yet. Right? Some moms are very picky about, right, that they're well folded and there's no wrinkles, and other people are, You all know that they'll be teenagers one day and they're going to ball their clothes up and just toss them in the drawer anyway, right? Yeah, okay. But for now, I know you want it all folded nice. So you fold all the clothes, but you ask them to put the clothes away in the drawers. And now, instead of every clothing item crammed into the top drawer, right? Socks, pants, underwear, shirts, sweaters, you name it, and stuffed, we know where our things are supposed to go. This is an example from my classroom where we had a cooking area. We would cook lunch once a week, and we had the whole cooking area labeled in terms of where to find tools, right? Pots, pans, spoons, and all of that. And we also put visuals all over the fridge and the food cupboards, so whatever food was inside the fridge or the cupboards had a symbol. And if, for example, we used up all the milk symbol came off the fridge, and we had a little chart that we would put symbols on for this is now our shopping list. So when the milk is gone, we put it on the shopping list. So now I'm teaching a skill that is even beyond just where's the milk, right? Because what do we want our kids to be able to do when they grow up? Do their own shopping, go get their groceries, put their groceries away, right? So we can start teaching this with 3- and 4-year-olds, right? There's no reason why we can't involve them in this. And again, if they're involved in helping kinds of things, they're less likely to be engaged in problem behaviors, right? Especially the kids who engage in problem behavior to get attention, right? Now they're involved in something with you, they don't need to get attention because they're happily busy helping, right? Okay. So those are environmental supports. Visual schedules, and we'll talk about these generally and then we'll take our break. Visual schedules are just simply a way to represent information. Right? And again, we're all accustomed to having our own visual schedules that represent what we're going to do across the day. This is just about providing that information, often in a somewhat different format. We're using things like objects, photographs, picture symbols, often the symbols from Boardmaker, PCSs. For people who can read, we'll use text. We can use a combination of, right? So I have some people who are sort of emerging readers. Some of their schedule may be text-based and some of it is symbol-based because they haven't learned to read all the words yet. That's fine. But we use those things to represent activities. Objects typically used for individuals who either have a visual impairment. So I work with individuals who are deaf-blind. I've got a couple of clients, or have had a couple of clients in the past, who are blind and have autism. Well, they can't see pictures. So obviously, we can't use pictures for a visual schedule. We have to use objects. And so, you know, if we were going to go to Starbucks, I might actually use the lid from a Starbucks cup to represent going to Starbucks. Does that make sense? So we actually use real objects. Photographs, way easier now than it used to be. Right? When I first started my career, I used to run around the Lower Mainland with a 35mm film camera, shooting pictures of Science World and such, and then of course only half of the pictures would come out decent after you develop them, and then you have to run back and take pictures. So much easier now because it's digital or it's online. Science World, there's my picture, right? I've had kids go to Disneyland, and I get a symbol. I have symbols. I have a whole book of symbols for Disneyland entirely. Disneyland, California Adventure, it's all there. Every restaurant, every ride, everything, because I can go to the Disneyland website and look up everything, and I have in my board maker now, I can search Big Thunder Mountain Railway, and up pops that picture, right? So we can get images for pretty much anything we need now, way easier than 35mm days. Visual schedules provide predictability, they provide structure. What's happening first, second, third? For lots of individuals, visual schedules are going to support those transitions, right? I know what's coming after this activity. I can see 3 activities down that I get to do what I like to do, right? I now know when the good stuff is coming. Because for lots of kids, if they're not able to predict, and it's adults telling them what to do all the time, they don't actually know when the good stuff is coming. Right? So kids who engage in escape-motivated behavior a lot, it's about, I don't know when I get the good stuff. All I know is that you're constantly telling me to do stuff that I don't like. I have no idea when the good stuff is coming. Visual schedules provide that information. And we can support people in a variety of single activities with visual schedules. So we can actually take one activity and break that down into a visual schedule to teach those steps. So things like brushing teeth, getting dressed, making a sandwich, all of the, packing your bag. I've made schedules for kids in terms of how to pack their backpack in the morning because mom is sick of doing it. Mom has other things to do in the morning, right? All kinds of stuff. So we can teach a variety of things with visual schedules, as well as provide information kind of across the day.